following is a special presentation of TBS Sports.
The dream begins here.
The Felt Forum at Madison Square Garden. There are 2,300 fans, 23 NBA teams, and at least 15 potential first-round draft choices, along with some of the members of the NBA, the men who are playing in the league right now, gathered here at the Felt Forum today. Hi, everybody. This is Bob Neal. For the third year in a row now, it's my pleasure to bring you the coverage of the NBA Draft live here on the Superstation. It's like a political convention here. The fans have been rocking and rolling already, chanting the names of the players, and even though a lot of people think that the quality of the talent pool available this year is down some from the past couple of years particularly, the excitement in this building today is definite, as we've already experienced that. So there is a question about the quality of the talent pool, particularly after you get past the first round choice, and the first choice will be made in the draft almost certainly to be Navy's David Robinson. But there have been a couple of trades prior to the draft today that I wanted to fill you in on. Neither of these trades, by the way, will affect the order of selection in the NBA draft. Detroit acquired center William Bedford from Phoenix in exchange for the Pistons' first-round pick of 1989. And then Phoenix obtained forward Eddie Johnson from Sacramento, the swing player, in exchange for forward Ed Pinckney and the Suns' second-round choice in 1988. The trade deadline was midnight last night. There are no trades eligible during the first round of the draft. They can be talked about and then announced in the second round, and should that happen, of course, we'll pass it along to you right then. Now, to analyze the talent and the teams in the draft today, we have a couple of real experts with us. First of all, on my immediate left, would you please meet Larry Connolly, a star at the University of Kentucky, and for 11 years a college basketball analyst. He's the man who knows these players from the college ranks. And of course, my colleague Rick Barry, Hall of Famer in the NBA and our NBA play-by-play and analyst. Rick is going to be talking about the perspective of the NBA and the teams in today's draft. And Rick, let's start right there and have you give us a look at the order of the first round.
Well, if we take a look at the order of the first round, I really think, Bob, that the teams that have the best chance of improving themselves would be Chicago and Seattle. Chicago picking 8 and 10 and 5 and 9 for Seattle. And it's a situation where, as you pointed out, the draft is not as strong as in past years. You have about 10 really good players, and then after that it drops off considerably. So with those picks, those two teams should improve themselves immensely. The big question, of course, is will the Spurs be able to sign David Robinson? I know that Bobby Weiss and Bob Bass, the general manager there, are not going to be happy to have me say this, but I don't think that he's going to sign. I wouldn't if I were him. Wait to 2 years, become a free agent. That's going to be a difficult position that they're going to be put into. As you see the rest of the draft picks going down there, the other team that has an opportunity to really improve themselves would be the Los Angeles Clippers. They have 3 picks in the first round of this draft, and they really need help in a lot of positions.
I might mention that 18 teams pick in the first round. There are 5 that do not have a first-round draft choice. They are Milwaukee, Denver, Los Angeles Lakers, Houston, and Detroit. They'll wait till the second round or later for their first selection in the '87 draft. And now Larry Connolly has seen these players over and over again in covering college basketball on varying networks. So Larry, let's have you talk about these players particularly. And as Rick said, probably a pool of 10 strong players. Give us an order of who's best.
Bob, I would agree with Rick. I think the quality of the draft, perhaps beyond 10, is somewhat questionable. But when you look at the 10 guys that we're going to look at right here, everyone's obvious first choice is David Robinson from Navy. When you get down to the 2nd to the 10th, these are quality players that are going to have an impact next year. Dennis Hobson from Ohio State, a great offensive player. Reggie Williams from Georgetown, everyone already knows about. Derek McKee, one of the undergraduates to come out this year, the junior from the University of Alabama, an outstanding player. Armin Gilliam, everyone knows about at 6'9" and 245. Very strong player in there. Kenny Smith, without question, the best point guard in this group. Horace Grant, the all-ACC player down there at Clemson, outstanding also. Holden Polynice coming back from Italy after playing in Virginia. Tellus Frank at Western Kentucky. And the big surprise in the draft, a University of Central Arkansas player by the name of Scottie Pippen. That's one we'll talk a lot about today.
So today's the day the University of Central Arkansas gets on the map. There's always some obscure in terms of National Collegiate Basketball Publicity School that gets some publicity because of a player, and we'll hear about that when Scottie Pippen goes someplace in the draft today. Now, as we cover this draft live for 2 hours from now until 3 o'clock this afternoon Eastern Time, we're going to be going literally coast to coast, from the West Coast to the East Coast with remote locations. You're looking at the backyard of the Miller home in Riverside, California, and the young man right there about to realize his dream come true. The star at UCLA last year. Today's his day. Last year was his season. Reggie Miller, and he passes off to his famous sister Cheryl, of course, the '84 Olympic gold medalist. We'll be going to the Miller home to watch and anticipate the draft with Reggie Miller. Now you're looking at a live picture from the Boston Garden, where our colleague Red Auerbach will be commenting from time to time, offering his insight into the draft today, and perhaps nobody in the NBA has more years of experience and insight into what's happening than that man, Arnold Red Auerbach. So we'll be joining him 2 or 3 times as we cover the NBA draft live today. We're just minutes away from the first pick in the '87 draft. You stay with us. Our coverage will continue from the Felt Forum in New York City. Just minutes away from the first selection in the 1987 NBA draft here at the Felt Forum, Madison Square Garden in New York City. As I said, there are approximately 15 potential first-round draft choice who have been invited here to New York City to be on hand for the first round of selections, and they range all the way from the smallest player, and you'll see who he is very clearly as we take this wide shot of the players, Tyrone Bogues out of Wake Forest, to Dallas Comegys out of DePaul, to Tellus Frank, Armand Gilliam, Dennis Hobson, Reggie Williams, Mark Jackson from St. John's is here, and Greg Cadillac Anderson, who, by the way, is 23 today, was not necessarily just invited. There's Kenny Smith of North Carolina on the left of your screen. Greg Anderson is here on the right, excuse me. Greg Anderson said he was coming anyway. Wasn't invited, but is going to be here. So those players will be standing here, and there's the shortest player in the NBA, and in about 30 minutes, it'll be Tyrone Bogues with a 44-plus inch vertical leap. And as Larry Connolly said previously, even then he can't touch the rim. They're the team reps. These are not the top executives of the 23 NBA teams, but they range from secretaries to office personnel to trainers in some cases, because most of the executives are in each team's home waiting to make the selection, talk to them, have it handed to the commissioner, David Stern, for the announcement. Right now we're going to David Stern to give us a look at the ground rules of the 1987 NBA draft.